It's not that pleasurable then, but in the moment it is. And that's why you have to say, all right, these foods, nope, no bite, 0 bite. 1 bite's too many, 1,000 bites not enough. That's the mantra that you have to have in your brain, all right, if you are in this case.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hi everybody, welcome to your second 50 and welcome to my episode number 3 in my 6-part series on what are the 6 top self-talk statements that I hear over and over again from my clients that get in the way of making the progress that they're trying to make with either weight loss or improving their health. All right, welcome everybody. This is episode number 3. And in case you don't know, I am Judy Terrell. I am a nationally board certified health coach. I have 43 years in the fitness and weight loss industry. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology, which is what I'm drawing from on this series. And I've helped thousands of people to achieve their goals through the years, and I want to help you. All right, so I'm addressing these common self-talk statements that go on in our brains that get in the way of making progress. I've already done 2. This is my 3rd one. There's 3 more to come. And the one I'm going to address right now is, I'm going to eat, I see something I want. I know it's history has shown that I have problems once I start this food, okay? It's a trigger for me. But this time, I'm going to be able to have just 1, or I'm just going to have a little bite. That's the thought, okay? And then the next thing you know, you're off to the races, you've opened Pandora's box, you slid down the bunny hole, and you're not coming out until you're either sick, there's no more food left, or someone walks in and you're embarrassed, okay? Those are usually the circumstances that are the result of this, all right? So now, the thought is, this time I can have just a little bit of this. This time I'm only going to have 1. This time, I'm only going to have a little taste, and then I'm going to be able to walk away. All right? That is the thought. This is my number 3 out of my top 6, so I hear it a lot. And I'm going to talk about what you need to do about that. But before I do, let me just say one thing. Not everybody is as susceptible to this thought as others, okay? But there is a population, a fairly large and I think growing population of people who the statement of moderation in everything when it comes to food and trigger foods does not work for, okay? So what happens is we have brains, okay? We are born with a certain biochemistry. We have environmental conditioning that also factors in here, but just like with alcoholics, there are some people who are born with a brain that is just more susceptible to the dopamine release that we get from alcohol and the pleasures and, chemicals that get released. And some people just can't control that. They're just hypersensitive to it and their lives become disrupted. And so in order for them to survive and be well, they have to abstain, okay? Science now is showing that there's a similar type brain to food, and that some people have a more susceptible brain to not food in general, but to particular types of food. Foods that are what are being labeled now in the research and the science as hyperpalatables, ultra-processed, or hedonistic. Okay? 3 different names. There's more.
Your Second 50 Life is my virtual platform that is designed for both men and women over 50 and 60, 70, and 80. And it includes pre-recorded video information on exercise and how to do it whether you're fit and in good health or if you have bad knees, bad shoulders, a bad back, whatever. It includes information on how to eat for weight management and how to eat for health management. It includes information on the psychology of aging and what do we need to do in our heads, because let's face it, this aging thing is not for the faint of heart. So your Second 50 Life is a virtual platform of resources that you can access at your own leisure, but it also includes 2 times a month live video coaching with me, so that you can bring your own individual questions and get individual coaching, as well as have access to all the information on the pre-recorded videos. So please check it out, because we're all in this together and we got this.
But they all describe not food, but foods that have been manufactured and then are literally brain triggers, especially to people who have brains that are extra susceptible to this. There's a woman who has started a movement or an eating program called Bright Line Eating, and Linda Pierce Thompson. She works out of the University of, or she did work out of the University of Rochester. I think she's out of that now and on her own. But she is a neuroscientist, and she specialized in the brain anatomy and the reactions to food and eating. And she's got a whole program on that's comparable to an addictions model for AA or alcoholics on abstinent eating. All right. Because she is, following the science. She's a leader in the science as to how certain foods will trigger certain individuals. And there's no modification that's going to happen. Okay. Now, not everybody needs to be that rigid. There's a continuum here. So if you're way up on this susceptibility scale in her program, and others that do similar work, then, you're somebody who's going to take heed of what I'm talking about in this episode. You are not somebody then who can have just a bite of something. Why? Because that bite is so overstimulating to your particular brain chemistry that I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's bordering on impossible. The probability of you being able to just a little bit and then walk away and be satisfied is highly unlikely. And I'm going to say something. You know who you are if I am talking to you. And I'll tell you how I know that, because I'm this person. I have that brain susceptibility. Am I the highest on the brain, like way out here on the left side of the continuum? No. Am I out on that side? Absolutely. And through my life, I've had to manage this. And I can tell you at 62 years old, I have. I've learned how to do it. And I'm going to say I'm abstinent to like 95%, okay? But I know that there are certain foods that I just know that if I was to have one bite of them, like I'm going to open up Pandora's box. And so therefore, those foods are they're not food to me. I see them as a drug. All right. So if you are somebody, and you already know, if you're listening to this, you already know if I'm addressing you. All right. If you are somebody who has this kind of reaction that you've observed in your own brain, then you really need to identify what are the foods that if you were to have one bite of it, you're just so, at risk of being off to the races with it. And then that food, you can't say to yourself, I'm just going to have just one bite, and then I will be able to walk away, because you will not. You will sabotage yourself, right? So there are people who can do that. There are people who can have a bite of a cookie or take the bite of, Aunt Millie's infamous, Easter bread or whatever, or, the highly processed food manufactured food product that is designed to trigger the brains of everybody. But if you're extra susceptible, you're going to be triggered more than somebody else. You got to stay away from them. You got to identify what those foods are, and you've got to really abstain from them. Okay. You can't use the mindset of the self-talk of this time I'm only going to be able to have one, or this time I'll just take a taste and walk away, because you will not be able to. And then you'll have people all around you be like, oh, come on, it's your birthday. Oh, come on, moderation and everything. Oh, come on, you're going to die anyway. You can get all that pushback from the environment, but you've got to recognize, because you know yourself, what pleasure you're going to get from that is going to be significantly decreased, if not completely eradicated, an hour later when you're sick or upset with yourself psychologically, or you're getting, compromising health issues, or it's blocking you from the fat loss that you're after. All right. It's not that pleasurable then, but in the moment it is. And that's why you have to say, all right, these foods, nope, no bite, 0 bite. 1 bite's too many, 1,000 bites not enough. That's the mantra that you have to have in your brain. All right. If you are in this case. So I'm just going to have a little bit this time, just a little bit, and then I'll be able to walk away. If you hear your brain saying that, and you are somebody who has this sensitive brain to certain food products, then you are the person who has to now etch a sketch. If you remember that from when you were a kid, I'm aging myself. You shake that up and you take that, erase that thought, and you put back in, 1 bite's too many, 1,000 bites will not be enough. Do I want to do this? and self-correct that. Okay, buddy, this is episode number 3. There's 3 other really good ones, very commonly done, that you're probably doing too, that you want to pay attention to. Follow me along in the next 3. I'll see you there. And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.